Johnson, our Bloomberg West editor-at-large, told me that Twitter is an ad company. How do you work with Twitter to make it an advertising company?
So we work with Twitter from an ad platform perspective, both purchasing ads on the Twitter.com platform and then also running our own social ads across the open social web.
So Twitter recently, as I mentioned, bought MoPub last week, its biggest acquisition yet. That was a mobile ad company. Have you been in talks with Twitter potentially to acquire your company, which is an advertising company, 140 Proof?
We have not, but I do think that the MoPub acquisition was really, really clever and a smart move on their part to expand not only their on Twitter Inc. property advertising in mobile, but also expand beyond the Twitter property. So really smart move ahead of the IPO.
Well, when we talk about these social media companies and the future of advertising, mobile and video stand out. How quickly has Twitter been moving toward these two new technologies?
Yeah, I think pretty rapidly. One of the things from a mobile perspective is that Twitter, and people talk about how quickly Facebook is moving into mobile, but Twitter started as a mobile company. In fact, the 140 character limit was fundamentally because it was a SMS, 160 character limit. So that's just a constraint that they put in. They've always thought about mobile. There's always a mobile first company, so it makes sense that they're farther ahead from a mobile advertising perspective. And from a video angle, I think just the pure platform of sharing and social media involves photos and videos and updates and news reports. So I think it's a really well-matched platform for video too.
Do Twitter-sponsored ads work more effectively than Facebook ads?
You know, I don't have exact details on that one. I think they both work really well. To me,
But your clients, I mean, you work with big Fortune 500 companies that place advertisements on both.
We do, and we run our own advertisements on the 140 Proof network. For us, one of the fundamental differences from a Twitter perspective is a targeting advantage. The information, the data, if you will, the public data that's used from a targeting perspective on Twitter just allows us to match ads better given that data. So the idea of the interests, who you're following and the things that you favorited and liked gives an advertiser or brand a lot of information about what additional content that you'd like to see that's similar to the content that you're already getting in your feed.
And as we look to the evolution of Twitter from private company to public company, how has your working relationship with Twitter changed most over Twitter's evolution so far, and what do you anticipate going forward?
You know, I think they've certainly grown up from a startup 7 years ago that was, a few people in South Park, right where we are, to a, several thousand person organization with a lot, snappier execution and a lot more things going. So I think they've really developed and grown a lot. Obviously, they've done a lot of things on the monetization front, and I think they've stayed true to sort of their very simple mission of being a news feed for the world. So I think going forward, post-IPO, they're going to be a larger part of society going forward. They're going to be, obviously, as a public company, have a little bit more security and substantial weight behind them for brand partners to work with them. So I think it's a real positive move for all.
All right, valuable perspective from one of Twitter's early partners, John Elvekrog. Thanks for joining us on In the Loop, the co-founder and CEO of 140 Proof.